Hi everyone, welcome to our class. Ah, Ang cute lang. Hi everyone, welcome to our class. And this is our, first medyo matagal na class after so many sessions lost because lagi nagagamit ang ating subject. And I really thought that this lesson, this year, hindi siya masyado magagamit. However, sad to say, nagamit siya kasi I thought that we will be having our discussion for the Microsoft Teams. Tapos nagkaroon ng academic break and no. So we resorted to asynchronous classes. So we will not have a problem when it comes to your other subjects. Okay, especially you could give this subject to your other teachers na for observation. Now, so I will be sure that you'll be able to watch this lesson that I will upload. I'll be giving you bonus questions. So we will be having a 20, konti lang naman kasi yung terms. So we already have to examine 20 um 20 item test for these three lessons pag umokay na, okay? So through the use of Google Form, and five items will come from the bonuses. Okay? So bonus words na nakakalat dito sa presentation na to. So we will look for five bonuses sa Edu Trio, cognate sa ating subject. So without further ado, let us begin our discussion. So I'll be sharing my screen. I did not have the time to make a PowerPoint presentation. Hindi ko alam, but I'm nagkasakit kasi ko last time. So medyo I'm reading, I cannot. So I decided to just present our module. So it's still the same din naman. Um, we're already in the Unit 3, the course design in English for specific purposes. So it's actually very easy. Before, I thought ESP is hard. I thought. Kasi nga, napakadami niyang, we have a lot of things. But now, no, it's easy. It's a normal thing for us. So the lesson 9 is the theories of learning. Now, when you want to teach a new language, our main goal is how learners will understand the language. And as a teacher, you can only be useful if you will understand how people learn. You must understand the structure and process, so it could be easier for you to make to be the bridge between you and your students. So it's very important for us to know the language. And we have lots of theories for language learning. And with this lesson, we will discuss all those theories that involves ESP. ESP is actually different from the general education because it is we've already discussed that it depends on what your learner needs and whatsoever. So ibang iba siya. Now, let us now begin with our lesson. Now, this is the basic outlining of a course. Okay, so sa isang ESP, when you design a course for your learners, you ask question to provide a basis for the next process of syllabus design, materials writing, classroom teaching, and evaluation. So ito yun. So this is how you make an ESP courses. So you answer this different question. What, how, who, why, where, and when. Now, what answers the question of the language descriptions? It is the syllabus. Ano yung ituturo mo sa kanila? Ano yung kailangan mo sa kanila? So definitely, you will make a syllabus. Now, the syllabus, I ask you to make one. Pinagawa ko kayo ng syllabus sa inyong teacher's pack. And I already told you, dun nyo ilalagay kung ano yung mga ituturo nyo, ano yung mga importante. And as a teacher, you get to decide what's important. Now, how you will teach your students, that is our lesson for today. How will you teach your students? That's the methodology. And Who are your learners? Why are they learning? Where and when? Needs analysis ang tawag dyan. We need to know the target learners. Ilan ba yung estudyante mo? Sino-sino ba sila? Why did they enroll in your subject? Because this is an ESP course. Hindi siya undergrad. Hindi siya basic ed. This is an ESP course. People who enroll in an ESP course, they have their needs. May kailangan sila. Like for example, for the job, like for example, I'll be teaching field study. No, no field study. Flight attendants. So why they want to know English communication skills? It is because they want to be a better communicator in the flight attendant industry. So sorry. The diagram shows the questions what you need to ask are why does a student need to learn? Who is going to be involved? Okay, so teachers, sponsors, inspectors, etc. Especially if a company got you. For example, kayo yung magiging ah, estudyante, kayo yung magiging teacher nyo ay mali. You are hired by a company because they have this specific goals. Okay, so they will be included. Where is the learning take place? Where does the learning took place? So saan siya manggagaling? Would you be in an office? Would you be in an informal setup? Would you be in a classroom? Where? What potential does the place provide? Now in MIFATs is where I'm working. So there now they created ano ba? They created the virtual no, not virtual. They created something eh. Yung sa room nila, nag-create sila ng parang sample ng airplane. So parang ganon. So ayun. Limitation does it impose? We should know this one. So for example, the budget, hindi ka allowed, hindi sila pwede lumabas because of this pandemic. Ano pa? Okay, how much time is available? If you want to teach a lot of things pero hindi naman isang sem ang lesson, it is only um maybe 1 week lang. O yun, so kailangan iayos natin, hindi mo pwedeng ipilit. And sa 1 week na yun, gaano kadami yung kayang i-accommodate. Dapat mas marami kang matuto in 1 week. Huwag mo ipilit, ito nga eh po ekang course na 'to ay pang ano lang 'to, eh, pang parang matututo lang kayo in, ah, pang maramihang ano 'to, pang isang course. Huwag na gano'n. Kung ano na lang yung puwedeng ay, nangyari? Sino 'yan? Okey. Okey. Papatayin niya si Siri? Nakikipagkaibigan siya? Ang cute. How will it be distributed? What are the needed aspects and how it will be described? The proficiency level must be attained. Parang dun sa MIFATs, nung yung mga bata, biruin mo 75% out of 100, 75% ang ano nila. So, kailangan pag nagpag-exam ka 75%. So, just imagine, ang dami nun. 1 week lang yung communication skills pero they need to have 75% sa grammar. So, it's hard. What are areas essential to be covered? How will learning be achieved? What learning theory will underlie the course? And what kind of methodology will be employed? In ESP, compared sa ordinary, iba yung methodology na kailangan nila. So, do not be shocked kapag pinagturo kayo ng ESP na, bakit ganun? Hindi ganito yung tinuro sa amin. So, it might be different because it's industry, sabi nga nila. Ayan. So, key concepts according to Monby 1978, learning factors are incorporated only after the language has been analyzed and systematized. A successful language learner and teaching lie in the understanding of the structure and process of the mind. So, sometimes, um, hindi natin puwedeng ipili, we need to understand how the mind works before we teach. So, we need to understand our students before we proceed. Especially, that is why ESL courses is actually pricier when it comes to ano, compared to rather ordinary. Kasi sa ESL courses, naka-design siya sa bata. Like for example, sa inyo, puwedeng yung batch nyo will be different design, ah, different design dun sa kabilang batch. Puwede kasi yung batch nyo, for example, yung 3A ay mas advanced. Like for example, natapat na lahat sila advanced. So definitely yung tapos yung 3B kunwari hindi siya advanced, parang, behind, for example, gano'n. Now, since magkaiba sila ng level. Yung kung dun sa 3A, basic mo saglit lang, like hapyaw lang talaga. Maybe sa 3B, mas kailangan mo siyang dagdagan. Aside from that, magkaiba din kunwari, um, magkaiba kasi ng way of thinking maybe ang eduk at saka ang mga different courses. So you need to understand them. You all need to understand your learners. There are different theories, one of which is behaviorism. In behaviorism, learning as a habit formation. We all know that when we talk about behavior, it has something to do with what we observe. So, ito ay paulit-ulit. Kasi lagi yung tatandaan, habit, behavior, habit. It is based from the work of Pavlov and Skinner, and it says that learning is a mechanical process of habit formation and proceeds by means of the frequent reinforcement of a stimulus response sequence. Now, sa kay BF aray, aray, ang sakit. Ang sakit. Teka lang. May asong nangangagat. Okay. Sa work ni BF Skinner, believe na ulit-ulit. So, repeat ng repeat, repeat. Repetition is very important. Bakit? Kasi, dito sa behaviorism, naniniwala tayo na the more na madalas makita ng bata the more na mas naiintindihan niya, the more na mas gagayahin niya, the more na mas the more na mas aayusin, the more na mas magagaya niya, and ayun. Basta madaming ano yan, madaming mga ulit, 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 parang pang-elementary. Okay. It is based on the assumption that second language learning should reflect and imitate, ayan, ulit-ulit, imitate the perceived process of mother tongue learning. Dito sa behaviorism, never translate. New language should always be dealt with within the here sequence of hear, um, speak, read, and write. Okay. So, for example, ang, ang sequence na yan ay na dinig ng bata. For example, okay class, ganito sa behaviorism ha. Um, okay class, repeat after me. English is fun. Nadinig ng bata. Again, English, tapos sasagot naman yung bata. English is fun. Okay, so teacher. Okay? Everybody, can we read? English is fun. Babasahin nila. Tapos, okay, copy that. So, ganun. So, kasi ganun yung sequence, no? So, frequent repetition is essential to effective learning. All errors must be immediately corrected. That's why drills, ayan, sa drills, ulit, ulit, ulit. So, pwede dito yung audiolingual method, okay, na ginagawa natin na ulit-ulit, drills. So, for example, 'di ba when it comes to okay, let us have what do you call this? Okay, the knees, the toes, the head, parang mga the head, ganun. Okay, doon. And according to Stevic, 1982. This theory shown that learning is much complex than just imitative habit formation. This theory is still in success unless you use it itself. So, sabi ni Stevic, yun naman daw ay fine. However, dapat nating intindihin na di- hindi siya pwedeng siya lang. It's not just siya lang. Dapat it's part of it. Okay? This is a sample activity. The liquid was heated when the temperature reached 100. Okay? So, okay. Tingnan niyo 'tong dalawang drill. Okay? The liquid was heated. When the temperature reached 100 degrees, the heating was stopped. Okay? So, the liquid was heated until the temperature reached 100 degrees. Same lang din sila ng pattern nito. The material was stretched. Tingnan niyo yung parallel. Parallel sila. Oh. When it was 50 cm long, the stretching was stopped. So, when the tendons reached 100 degrees, the heating was stopped. The liquid was heated. Ito, the material was stretched until it was 50 centimeter long. As you can see, this is a sample of a drill. Uulit siya. Parang inuulit-ulit lang natin siya. Same sila. So that the students could understand the sentence pattern. Okay? Okay, ito example to. Receptionist. Okay. I have 1 year experience full-time. Ayan, so ulit. So ngayon, you will read examples, then practice what an applicant might say for each job. So I have 1 year's experience as a receptionist. I have 3 years experience as a welder. So ayun, para lang siyang pang-LM. And one of the things that I have learned when it comes to this, sabi nila, kahit daw yan ay may edad na, wag nating isipin na magaling na sila mag-English. Kasi even if they are already older, they will, um, okay, yan, ulit-ulit. Next, according to Albright, audiolingual and behaviors did not deliver the result as promised. Language learners are not contented with the lessons. They prefer translating things and grammar rules. For them, repeating things to a tape recorded is boring and fail to learn something no matter often they repeat it. So they gave birth in this theory. So it happened. So, gano'n yung nangyari. Parang na-boring kasi ulit-ulit, ulit-ulit, ulit-ulit. So, repetition. Gaya nga ng sabi, this is okay, pero ito at ito lang yung kung ito lang, ito at ito at ito lang talagang gagamitin mo, this will not be successful. Next, mentalism. So, since yung behaviorism, medyo na-bored yung mga students at hindi sila natuto, mentalism was born. Okay? This theory is from Noam Chomsky ng 1964. According to him, behaviorism on the question of how the mind was able to transfer what was learned in one of the stimulus response sequence to other novel situation. Some questions from the learners are not properly explained. Kaya sabi ni Noam Chomsky, that the mind does not respond to stimulus. It uses individual stimuli in order to find underlying pattern or system. Hindi lang daw siya stimulus but rather meron ang ating mind na sariling pattern at sariling system. Hindi siya basta-basta. He believes that the mind is very beautiful at hindi lang siya basta-basta um Ayan. This knowledge can predict what is likely to happen. Kasi 'di ba, this is just like this. Since we already but um 'di ba parang dun nung una 'di ba baka malito kayo ha, yung kanina sa behaviorism there's a pattern. Pero dito sa mentalism, may pattern siya, yung brain natin mismo na alam natin yung sagot, alam na natin yung response. Like for example, um, you don't need to teka lang, for example, okey, napasok ka kasi mainit yung kape. So, yung utak mo, hindi mo na kailangan aralin na the coffee is hot, parang gano'n. Hindi na kailangan, but rather naka-detect na sa utak mo na, "Uy, ganito ang kailangan." So, subconsciously alam mo na you need to need mong mag-ano, gaganon ka para sa kape. So, yun yun. Okay. The mentalist view of the mind led the cognitive learning theory. Hindi nawala yung mentalism. Parang start lang niya, pero hindi talaga yun. Nagkaroon tayo ng ah, cognitive code. According to Sube et al., the cognitive view takes the learner to be an active processor of information. So it means na nagiging ano siya, parang mas nakakapag-isip. Parang they believe that a learner is not just a vessel, but rather it's a thinking being, it's a rational being. So the mind was already nurtured this one. Learning and using rule requires the learner to think, apply mental powers to distill a workable practice from mass data presented while analyzing the situation in which it can be appropriately useful. Like for example, di ba, minsan may lesson tayo na mas nakikinig tayo because I think we will win this. Same goes with the people who is learning ESP. Sa kanila, um, they know that sometimes ito yung mas helpful sa kanila. For example, sa job, ito makikinig ako dito kasi dito ako na mahina, ito yung gusto kong malaman, this is what I want, so kasama yun. Learning is a process of actively tries to make sense of the data. So, it's the data that you know little by little, lalo na pag nagkakaroon kayo ng connection, it's very important. Education can be said to have taken place when the learner has managed to impose meaningful interpretation or pattern on the data. In short, we learn by thinking about and trying to make sense of what we feel in here. Lagi natin sinasabi yun, it doesn't make sense. Bakit? Paano? Mga gano'n, 'di ba? Minsan may gano'n tayo. Now, the problem-solving task is the basic technique associated with this theory. Students are introduced to different reading strategies to consciously apply them to understand texts in a foreign language as ESP's primary goal. Now, we also have the affective factor. Learners are not just thinking beings, they're also emotional beings. That is based on one of the paradoxes of nature that people are aware of their feelings and their effects of their actions. Sabi dito lagi na um, ang tao, they know that their feelings, they're aware of what will happen about when they have decisions. They seek the answer in problems in rational terms. Attitude affects the way we see learners. The most notable authors in this motivation is Gardner and Lamberts. So dito sila na um, sample nila. There are two forms daw ng motivation. We have the instrumental motivation. And we also have integrative motivation. Now, what is an example of instrumental motivation? Sell things, pass an examination, and need to read text. Bakit daw tayo na motivate mag-aral ng ESP? para makapagbenta. Kasi 'di ba, isa sa goal ng ESP before is to sell things. Lalo yung mga Chinese, 'di ba? Sila yung marami silang mga ginagawa, marami silang, ini-invent, factories. Ngayon, ang ano nila is that, um, they want to sell things. Kayo naman, bakit kayo nag-aaral ng ESP? Because you want to pass the examination. O ikaw, ba't ka nag-aaral ng English? Yung isa, kasi I want to read a text. Because there's an instrument. Now, ano naman yung integrative? An example is an internally generated want rather than externally imposed need. External kasi yung mga to. But rather, sa integrative, mas gusto mo sila matutunan kasi you just really love the language, you want to learn, you love mga ganon. So that is integrative motivation. Learners are not learning the language because they wanted, but they need to. They need to pass. They need to, aray, kinakagat ako. Ar aray! Sakit. It is the desired part of the learner. So, yun ang pinagkaiba ng dalawa. So, Gardner and Lambert conclude that both forms of motivation are present in all learners. Still, each exercises a varying influence depending on age, experience, and changing occupational and social needs. It needs if students are not fired with burning enthusiasm by their ESP materials, apparent relevance remembers that learners are not machines. Lessons should be aray, aray, aray. Ha? Uy, sakit. Sakit. Mara, Mara. Sakit. Hmm. Hmm. Lessons should satisfy students' needs as learners and their needs as potential target users. Nahulog yung cellphone. Ayan. Okay. So, the first word natin for today is the Witcher. Ayan. First word natin for today is the Witcher. That is our first bonus name, the Witcher. Ano? May beke ka? Good night. Okay. Post mo kasi the Witcher. Asan yung ano? Layo naman. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Cognitive theory naman tells us that learners will learn actively, think about what they are, and it presupposes the effective factor of motivation. Learners must have the initiative to think about it, the learning experience. Uh, Emotional reaction is an essential foundation for the initiation of the cognitive process. How the learner perceives the learning will affect uh, what learning will take place. So, for example, with this one, okay, okay, this is a sample of a positive learning cycle. Entry point. Learner wants to learn. Gusto niyang matuto. Now, the learner will apply the cognitive powers to acquire the knowledge. So, iintindihin niya yon, gagamitin niya ang kanyang utak para intindihin ang lesson. Now, ang learning ay naging successful. Now, dahil naging successful yun, na-develop ang competent ng learner. And that's why it was increased to enables learner to learn more easily. And the learner sees learning as an enjoyable and satisfying experience kasi natuto siya. I remember one of my students before na medyo hindi siya before nag-e-excel. Lagi na lang siyang, ang tawag dito, lagi siyang mal hindi kasi siya nag-aaral, eh. So, kasi napapagod siya magbasa. So, he has a lots of reasons. But then, he started, 73 yung grade niya dati, gano'n. But he started to want to learn, okay? So, from line of 7, unti-unti, ginawa niya 'to. Ganito yung nangyari sa kanya because he wants to learn. Ang grade niya nung 4th year, grade 7 ko siya naging estudyante. Nung naging 4th year siya, lahat ng grade niya, line of 8 and line of 9. So, matataas lahat. And yung status niya sa klase na lagi na lang pabigat, naging kasama na siya sa nagde-decide. So, that is a very helpful for him. Learning acquisition naman is from Stephen Krashen in 1981. It has something to do with debate and learning and acquisition. He believes that learning is seen as a conscious process, while acquisition proceeds unconsciously. Learning and acquisition. So he believes that Stephen Krashen believes na ang bata had something to do with learning and acquisition. Um, some of it's a conscious process na you do that in school, nag-aaral ka magbasa, pinipilit mo yung sarili mo mag-aral, ganito, ganyan. That's learning. When it comes to acquisition naman, it's some unconsciously. Like for example, you hear words accidentally, or maybe you use it using your cognitive, or nagulat ka na lang na alam mo na yung meaning ng words because you heard somewhere or nabasa mo somewhere. So yun yun. Hindi mo siya pinilit pumasok sa ulo mo pero nasanay ka na lang dun. Okay? So Albert Einstein said that a cluttered desk is a sign of cluttered mind. Then an empty desk is also a sign of empty mind. As learners of ESP course, you have a lot on your plate. Our mind has a lot of complex ideas that are interconnected to one another. Imagine that mind is a network of connections like a roadmap. Ayan. So a model of learning. Dito, it was described na ang houses, okay, asan na yung houses? Hindi ko alam kung nasan dyan. Ang houses, towns, and villages presents knowledge. These are only useful only if they are connected to the main networks or by the roads. The learner's minds are like development agency. It wants to bring the settlements into the system and to develop their potential. To achieve their potential, the link form must be established. However, links can only be found in existing links. Like for example, town X, which is, ayan yung mga town X, ayan pala yun. Town X is likely to be connected to the network unless town Y and Z are connected. So, town Y and Z. Okay, so connected sila sa network kung town Y and Z ay connected. So now, ano yung ano nito? It believes, kahit ang dami-daming sinasabi niyan ano, um, na 'di ba minsan 'pag kunwari may mga ideas kayo na nalaman, tapos nung ideas na yun, paano ba? Ah, yung ideas na yun parang wala naman na kayo napaglagyan, like hindi mo naman na siya ginamit kasi hindi mo kailangan, nawawala. Unlike kapag kailangan mo siya, lagi mo siyang nagagamit, familiar ka sa word na yun, mag-i-stay siya dito. Now, why are we pictured the mind like that? Here are the reasons. Individual items of knowledge are like towns. It has a little significance on their own. Pero, they can only have acquired meaning and is used when they are connected with the existing knowledge. For example, meron kayo nalaman na idea. Kapag yung idea na yon ay wala namang magagawa sa inyo, wala, nothing interesting, mawawala siya. Parang makakalimutan niyo siya. Pero 'pag they're very interesting, it will happen. Like for example, sige sabihin natin, ayan kunwari may jowa ka, you have a monthsary that will eventually become your anniversary. You know that date. It's very important to you. But for example, you have a lesson in Araling Panlipunan and you are to remember all of the dates. And you can't remember it. Pero yung monthsary mo, natatandaan mo. Yung birthday ng nanay mo, ng tatay mo, ng kapatid mo, ng friends mo, ng classmate mo, ng jowa mo, ng nanay ng jowa mo, lahat gano'n, importante sa'yo. You remember. It won't be hard for you to remember. Not unless medyo mahina talaga yung utak mo. Pero it won't be hard for you to remember kasi it's important to you. It's connected to what you are doing right now. It's existing. Pero yung mga dates na natandaan mo, na minemorize mo when you were younger, during your araling panlipunan, hindi mo na siya matandaan kasi hindi na siya you don't need to hindi mo na siya kailangan ngayon. Hindi mo siya kailangan ngayon sa klase mo na 'to, sa personal mong buhay, sa academic mong buhay, hindi mo siya naging kailangan. So, nawala siya. That is also the reason why when you learn a new language, for example, you're learning English, it is very important that you will understand. Like for example, sakit ng likod ko. For example, when you learn new language, ma'am, nag-aral ako ng English pero hindi ko naman nagagamit. Kasi hindi mo naman siya nagagamit. Kaya I mean nakakalimutan mo siya kasi hindi mo siya nagagamit. Like for example, if you are to read, for example, a Harry Potter book. Now, some of the word, like for example, muggles, parang ganon. Bakit siya, kasi natutuwa kayo, you are a fan. So, and you always use it whenever you're conversing with other Harry Potter friends. Those are muggles. Parang ganon. And it's fun because you know it. But you don't use that daily. Sometimes, pag medyo hindi ka na masyado nagbabasa-basa ng Harry Potter, medyo, ano nga ulit siya? Parang ganon. Sometimes it happens. That's the reason why you need to speak and speak in English so that it will be easier for you to process. Yun. Para hindi siya makalimutan. The existing network makes it attainable to construct new connections. So acquiring new knowledge, learning new things is achievable because of the current understanding of the learner. Knowledge items are not equal to significance. Some things are harder to acquire but may open up vast possibilities for further learning. This is why so often understanding appears to process in leaps and bounds. Every hop of the students will give many possibilities. Totoo yung sinasabi na, totoo yung sinasabi sa atin na, huwag kayong maano kasi we need this. What we're doing right now, we need it. Kasi kailangan natin 'yan para matuto tayo. But we cannot understand, we cannot, basta hindi natin siya maa-apply ngayon, eh. Kasi minsan 'di ba ang hirap 'pag hindi mo naman siya na-a-apply agad, parang, parang ayoko, parang gano'n. So, yun. A communication network is a system, like a road builder who can see the whole system that made the roads planning and construction a more straightforward language is a system. If the learner sees it as a dangerous set of arbitrary, capricious obstacles, learning will be difficult if not impossible. So, yun. Kulit. Kabili ko lang to eh. Okay. Anyone must be motivated before they build a road, cross a river, or climb mountains. So it's very important that you are motivated. And as a teacher, we need to help our students. Uh, we, yeah. Okay. Wait lang muna. Okay. Sorry na, inaantok na tayo. Okay, your second word for today is the Big Bang Theory. Okay, so tapos na tayo sa ating first word. The second word natin is the Big Bang Theory. Now, for the needs analysis, um, needs analysis is answering why you study. Now, marami tayong reason kung ba't tayo nag-aral. Now, for example, ako, bakit ako nag-aral ng college ng English major? Because I want to become, I don't know pala. What I want to become is I want to be, anong tawag dito? A vet med. But basically, wala ako na talagang push na push. But I do love my teachers. I enjoy that. I want to receive chips. I want to record. I want to talk and talk in front. So I tried education. My favorite subject is Filipino. But I know that I want to have more options and I want to go to abroad. Baka. And I don't know what will happen to me if I will be successful here in the Philippines. So I began in English. And that's the time, also timely, I love Greek mythology. Yeah, mythology and Trojan War. So those two are very dear to me. That's why I love those subjects. So that's the reason why I chose English. I don't like grammar. Nakaka-boring kaya yun. So, in it comes to needs analysis, this will answer the question, Why do you study? And of course, you will receive different responses. So some of you, they want to become a teacher. Some of you, they do not want to become a teacher, but they don't have a choice. Some learners will say that learning English because they want to abroad, communicate well, and want to have better opportunities. So we all have our reasons. Now, let us check. Ano pinagkaiba ng ESP sa General English? Okay? So, an ESP, it gives awareness. And if the learners or sponsors and teachers know why the learners need English, that awareness will influence the acceptable content in the language course. Ano naman yung general? The school child is not specified, so all of the lessons are for average person. There is more of an institutional requirement. Kaya tayo may accreditation. Pero sa mga ESP, wala. And you need this BIR lang sa ESP. Kasi ano lang sila, negosyo lang. And you need this to pass the course. But when it comes to ESP, you want it because although you need something, but this would be a help for you. Hindi ka, pag nag-take ka ng course na to sa ESP, hindi siya for yung, kunwari, gagraduate ka, ganon. Hindi siya ganon. So that's the difference between the two. But many people enrolled this because they wanted to and they feel that they need to. Now, according to EY 1999, needs analysis generally refers to the activities that are involved in collecting information that will serve as the basis for the developing a curriculum. Now, we have target situation analysis, present situation analysis, pedagogic analysis. Ano ba yun? So when it comes to target situation analysis, it has something to do with the focus on the needs of the students at the end of the program. It focuses on the expectation and what the student be like. So now we also have the present situation analysis. It has something to do with at the start of the program, check mo kung ano ito yung target. Ito yung present nila. Like for example, um, sa present situation analysis, for example, ang target mo, dapat at the end of this communication skill class, kailangan nakakapagsalita na tong mga bata. Pero, now, ano yung present situation analysis? Hindi sila nagsasalita kahit ano. So, kailangan gawan mo siya ng paraan. Do'n tayo papasok sa pedagogic analysis. What? Pedagogic analysis is the deficiency analysis. Titignan mo kung ano yung kulang ng learner, strategy, and how the learners wish to learn. Ano yung pwedeng gawin, and means analysis and what works well and what does not work well. Yun yung pedagogic. Kasi pedagogy is the art of teaching and learning. So, dito mo chine-check, constantly checking. Now, according to Mackay 1978 and Moonby, Cohen-Manyo na 1980, Rechterich and Chancerel in 1980, we have different questions and we will answer it for ESP, for the target situation analysis. Why is the language needed? So, tatanong mo. May mga different answer tayo for study, work, training, and a combination of this. Another purpose. How will the language be used? Anong medium niya? Speaking, writing, reading. Anong channel? Online ba siya? Face-to-face? Types of text or discourse. Text in academics, lectures, informal conversation, technical manuals, catalogs. What will be the content areas? Anong sample? Okay, ESP in medicine ba? ESP in bio, archi, shipping, commerce, and engineering. Tas ano ba ang level nila? Baka mamaya mataas, like postgraduate, or high school lang ang tinapos, or technician sila. Ayun, so tinitignan natin yon. Who is the learner's target communication? Like for example, gusto daw nilang pumunta ng Amerika. So, native learners. Or gusto nilang pumunta ng Japan. So, ito something to do with Asian, specifically Japanese. So, yun. Ano ba yung level of knowledge nila? For example, tuturuan mo sila. Um, ano lang din, tiga factory worker lang din kausap nila. Or baka mamaya magiging ano sila, magiging um, mapupunta sa academe, which is hard. So, yun, tinitignan. And relationship is, ayun, yung mga magiging kausap nila and the reason why they enrolled in your subject. Saan ba gagamitin yung learners? Sa office ba? Okay? Sa country or may ibang bansa. And when will the language be used? Concurrently course, habang ginagawa yung ESP or after a week, after a month, after a year. Ayun. So analyzing naman the learner's needs is why the learners are taking this course. Ano yung dahilan nila? Is it compulsory? Pinilit ba sila? Or pwedeng hindi nila i-take? Kailangan ba nila to o hindi? Status money, promotion involve. Ayan, so yun. How do learners learn? What resources are available and who are the learners? Ito yung mga dapat yung chinecheck. Where will the ESP take place? When will the ESP course will take place? Ayan. So, yan yung mga tinitignan natin. Okay? Okay. Okay. Now, in lesson 11, approaches to course design. Okay. Wait lang ha. Tingnan muna natin. Wait lang. I think I need a break. We shall resume with lesson 11.